Stop trying to make people like you. There are 3 words that can change everything about how others see you, feel about you, and connect with you. And nobody's teaching you this. Most of us spend our entire lives trying to be impressive. We craft the perfect sentences, we measure our words, we put on masks thinking that's what draws people in. But here's the truth that's going to shake everything you thought you knew about connection. The deepest bonds, the most powerful relationships, the kind of love that actually lasts, it all comes down to 3 simple words. Not the ones you think. Not "I love you." Something far more powerful. Something that works before love even enters the picture. Let's talk about why most of us are terrible at creating genuine connections. You meet someone new. Maybe it's a potential partner. Maybe it's someone you want to befriend. Maybe it's a person you want to build something meaningful with. What do? You start performing. You try to be interesting. You share your achievements, your stories, your opinions. You wait for your turn to speak. And while they're talking, you're not really listening. You're preparing your response. You're thinking about what clever thing you'll say next. This is the trap we all fall into. We think connection comes from being seen, from being heard, from being understood. So we talk and talk and talk some more. We share our experiences, hoping they'll resonate. We offer advice, thinking it shows we care. We try to relate by redirecting the conversation back to ourselves. Oh, that happened to you? Well, let me tell you about when that happened to me. But here's what actually happens. The other person feels unheard. They feel like you're not really there with them. They sense, even if they can't name it, that you're more interested in yourself than in them. And slowly, quietly, the possibility of real connection dies. Not because you're a bad person, not because you don't care, but because you're playing the wrong game entirely. Think about the last conversation you had that felt truly meaningful. I'm willing to bet it wasn't because you said something brilliant, it was because of how you made the other person feel. There's a hunger in every human being that rarely gets fed. It's not the hunger for attention, though that's what most people mistake it for. It's the hunger to be truly seen, to be genuinely understood, to have someone care enough to step into your world, even for a moment. The power of presence in a distracted world. We live in the age of permanent distraction. Everyone's scrolling, everyone's half present, everyone's thinking about the next thing while pretending to care about this thing. Your phone buzzes. Someone's talking to you, but you're wondering who just texted. You're in a conversation, but your mind is already planning dinner. You're on a date, but you're thinking about work tomorrow. This is the landscape we're operating in. And this is exactly why the 3 words we're about to discuss are so powerful. Because they're rare, because nobody does this anymore. Because in a world where everyone's distracted, the person who can be fully present becomes magnetic. Let me paint you a picture. You're talking to someone about something that matters to you. Maybe it's a problem you're facing. Maybe it's a dream you're chasing. Maybe it's just something that happened today that made you feel a certain way. And the person you're talking to, they put their phone down. They turn their body toward you. They look at you, not past you, not through you, at you. Their eyes aren't glazed over. They're not nodding automatically while thinking about something else. They're there, completely there, with you. How does that feel? Probably rare, probably powerful, probably like something you don't experience much anymore. Now here's the thing. Presence alone is powerful, but it's not the full picture. You can be present and still miss what matters. You can be paying attention and still not create the connection you're seeking, because there's a specific way of being present that changes everything. And it starts with understanding what people actually need. People don't need you to fix them. They don't need your advice, your solutions, your similar stories. What they need is to feel felt. They need to know that you get it, that you're not judging them, that you're not waiting for them to finish, so you can talk. They need to feel like they matter, not in some abstract way, but right here, right now, in this specific moment. This is where most of us fail. We think caring means helping. So we jump in with suggestions. Have you tried this? You should do that. When that happened to me, I did this other thing. And with every suggestion, every piece of advice, every redirection back to our own experience, we're actually saying, I'm not interested in your experience. I'm interested in showing you what I know. The 3 words that change everything. So what are these 3 words? They're simple, almost stupidly simple. So simple that when I tell you, you might think I'm wasting your time. But I promise you, if you actually use them, if you make them a practice, they will transform how people respond to you. The 3 words are, tell me more. That's it. Tell me more. 3 words. But these 3 words contain an entire philosophy of connection. They contain presence. They contain curiosity. They contain something that almost nobody offers anymore, genuine interest in another person's inner world. When someone shares something with you, and you respond with, tell me more, you're doing something radical. You're saying their experience matters. You're saying you want to go deeper. You're saying you're not satisfied with the surface level. You're giving them permission to unfold, to reveal, to be seen. Let's break down why this works. When you say, tell me more, you're opening a door. Most people, when they share something, they're testing the waters. They're seeing if it's safe to go deeper. They share a little bit and wait to see how you respond. If you jump in with advice, they learn you're not a safe space for vulnerability. If you change the subject, they learn you're not interested. If you redirect to your own story, they learn this isn't about them. But when you say, tell me more, you're telling them it's safe. You're telling them you have space for whatever they need to say. You're telling them you're not in a rush. You're not bored. You're not judging. You want to understand. This creates something powerful. It creates trust. And trust is the foundation of every meaningful connection. Whether we're talking about romantic love, friendship, business relationships, or family bonds, trust is what makes it real. And trust isn't built through impressive stories or clever words. It's built through making someone feel safe enough to be themselves. Now, you might be thinking, that's it? That's the big secret? Just say, tell me more? And I get it. It sounds too simple. But here's what you're missing. Most people never say this. Most people never give others space to expand. Most people are so focused on what they're going to say next that they never create room for someone else to go deeper. Try it. The next time someone tells you something, anything, instead of responding with your thoughts or your story or your advice, just say, tell me more. Watch what happens. Watch how their face changes. Watch how they lean in. Watch how the conversation goes from surface level to real. The mechanics of deep listening. But here's where it gets tricky. You can't just say the words. You have to mean them. People can sense fake interest from a mile away. If you say, tell me more, but your energy says, I'm just being polite, they'll shut down. If you say, tell me more, but you're already thinking about your response, they'll feel it. So the words are just the entry point. The real practice is cultivating genuine curiosity about other people's experiences. It's training yourself to actually care about what's happening in someone else's world. It's developing the patience to let someone unfold at their own pace without rushing them to the point. This is hard for most of us. We're trained to be quick, to be efficient, to get to the point. Someone starts telling a story and we're already impatient. Where is this going? What's the point? Can we speed this up? But connection doesn't happen at high speed. Connection happens in the spaces between words, in the pauses, in the moments when someone is gathering courage to say the thing they're afraid to say. When you ask someone to tell you more, you have to be prepared to actually listen to more. Not just hear the words, but listen for what's underneath the words. Listen for the emotions. Listen for what they're not saying. Listen for the fear, the hope, the confusion, the excitement that's driving whatever they're sharing. This is what separates shallow connection from deep connection. Shallow connection happens on the surface. You exchange information. You share facts. You keep it safe. Deep connection happens when you're willing to go beneath the surface. When you're willing to sit with someone in their discomfort. When you're willing to hear things that might be messy, or complicated, or painful. Most people avoid depth because depth is uncomfortable. It's easier to keep things light. It's easier to talk about the weather, about work, about surface level stuff that doesn't require vulnerability. But nothing meaningful ever comes from staying on the surface. Every relationship that matters, every connection that lasts, every bond that sustains you, it all comes from being willing to go deep. And tell me more is the invitation to depth. It's you saying, I can handle whatever you need to share. I'm not scared of your complexity. I'm not going to judge you. I'm here. The ripple effect of being truly seen. Here's something most people don't understand about human connection. When you make someone feel truly seen, when you create space for them to be themselves without judgment, something shifts in how they see you. It's not manipulation. It's not a trick. It's a natural response to feeling valued. Think about the people you feel closest to in your life. Chances are, they're not the people who impressed you the most. They're not the people with the best stories or the most accomplishments. They're the people who made you feel like you mattered. They're the people who listened, who asked questions, who cared about your answers. This is the paradox of connection. We think we need to be interesting to be loved, but what actually makes us lovable is our ability to be interested. When you're genuinely interested in someone, when you ask them to tell you more and you mean it, you're giving them a gift that almost nobody gives anymore. You're giving them your full attention, your presence, your care. And here's what happens. They start to associate you with feeling good. Not because you're entertaining them, not because you're solving their problems, but because being around you makes them feel more alive, more seen, more real. You become a space where they can exhale, where they can drop the mask, where they can be themselves. This is magnetic. This is what draws people in and keeps them close. Not your achievements, not your status, not how impressive you are, but how you make them feel about themselves when they're with you. Let me give you an example. You meet someone new. First conversation, you spend most of the time talking about yourself, sharing your stories, trying to be interesting. The other person walks away thinking they're okay, kind of self-focused. Now, same scenario, but this time you spend most of the conversation asking them questions, saying, tell me more when they share something, actually listening to their answers. The other person walks away thinking, wow, that was such a good conversation. I really like them. Notice the difference. In the second scenario, you barely talked about yourself, but they had a better experience. And because they had a better experience, they attribute that good feeling to you. They want more of that. They want to see you again because you made them feel something that's rare and valuable. This works in romantic relationships. It works in friendships. It works in professional settings. It works everywhere. Because everyone, and I mean everyone, wants to feel like they matter, like their thoughts and feelings and experiences are worth paying attention to. And when you offer that, when you consistently show up with genuine interest and curiosity, you become someone people want to be around. Practicing the art of magnetic presence. So how do you actually practice this? How do you train yourself to be someone who says, tell me more and means it? It starts with awareness. Start noticing your patterns in conversation. Do you interrupt? Do you wait for your turn to talk? Do you redirect conversations back to yourself? Do you offer advice when nobody asked for it? Most of us have these habits. We're not trying to be selfish. We think we're being helpful. We think we're bonding by sharing our own experiences. But once you see these patterns, you can start to shift them. The first step is just catching yourself in the act. Notice when you're about to interrupt someone mid-sentence because you just thought of something brilliant to add. Notice when someone's telling you about their day and you're already planning what story from your day you're going to share. Notice when someone mentions a problem and your immediate instinct is to solve it for them without them asking for solutions. These moments of awareness are gold because you can't change what you don't see. And most people go their whole lives having these patterns without ever realizing they're doing it. They wonder why their relationships feel shallow, why people don't open up to them, why connections don't last. And the answer is usually simple. They're not creating space for anyone else. They're taking up all the oxygen in the room with their own stuff. Here's a practice. For the next week, in every conversation, try to ask more questions than you answer. Every time someone tells you something, resist the urge to immediately share your own story. Instead, ask them a follow-up question. Tell me more about that. How did that make you feel? What happened next? What does that mean to you? These questions show you're tracking with them, that you're paying attention not just to the facts of what they're saying, but to the emotional reality underneath it. You'll notice something interesting. People will light up. They'll become more animated. They'll share more. And at the end of the conversation, even though you barely talked about yourself, they'll feel connected to you. They'll feel like you get them, like you care, because you do. This is the weird paradox of connection. The less you talk about yourself, the more people like you. The more space you give others, the more they want to be around you. It's backwards from what we're taught, but it's true. This doesn't mean you never share about yourself. Connection is a two-way street. But it means you stop making yourself the center of every conversation. It means you practice being genuinely interested in other people's inner worlds. And here's the thing. When you do this, when you create space for others first, they naturally become curious about you. They start asking you questions. They want to know about your life, because reciprocity is built into human nature. When someone gives us their attention, we want to give them ours back. Another practice. Put your phone away, completely away. When you're with someone, be with them, not halfway, not mostly, completely. No checking messages, no scrolling, no glancing down every time you feel a buzz in your pocket. No divided attention, just presence, just being there. You'd be amazed how powerful this is. In a world where everyone's distracted, being fully present makes you stand out. It makes you memorable, because most people can't remember the last time someone gave them undivided attention for more than 5 minutes. Think about how rare this is now. You're at dinner with someone, and they're on their phone. You're telling a story and they're checking Instagram. You're trying to connect and they're elsewhere. It feels terrible, doesn't it? Like you don't matter. Like whatever's on their screen is more important than you. So flip that. Be the person who makes others feel like they're the most important thing in the room. Because when you're with them, they are. And here's the advanced practice. Learn to be comfortable with silence. Most people rush to fill every pause. Someone stops talking and we immediately jump in with our response. We're so uncomfortable with quiet that we'd rather say something meaningless than let there be a moment of nothing. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pause. Let there be space. Let the silence sit. Often that's when people share the real thing, the thing underneath the thing. The truth they were building up courage to say. Silence creates room for depth. When you're comfortable with it, when you're not rushing to fill every gap, you give others permission to go slower, to think, to feel, to find the words for something that's hard to articulate. Some of the most profound moments in conversation happen in the pauses, not in the words. They happen when someone feels safe enough to sit with you in the quiet, knowing you're not going to rush them or judge them or make them feel weird for taking their time. When someone shares something vulnerable and then there's a pause, don't rush to fix it or comment on it or relate it to yourself. Just sit with them in that moment. Maybe nod, maybe just maintain eye contact. And then, if it feels right, tell me more, give them space to go deeper, if they want to. Sometimes people share something heavy, and they're testing the waters. They want to see if you can handle it. If you panic, if you try to immediately make it better, if you change the subject, they learn you can't handle their depth. But if you stay calm, if you stay present, if you invite them to go further, they learn you're safe. This is how you become someone people fall in love with. Not romantic love necessarily, though that too, but the kind of love that comes from trust, from feeling safe, from knowing that here is a person who actually sees me, who actually cares, who isn't using me for entertainment or validation, who just wants to understand. And that kind of love, that kind of connection, that's what people are really searching for. That's what makes life rich. That's what makes relationships matter. Here's the moment where everything clicks into place. You're not learning a trick. You're not learning a manipulation tactic. You're learning how to actually care about people. And when you actually care, when you're genuinely interested in someone's experience, they feel it, and that changes everything. The 3 words "tell me more" work because they're the external expression of an internal shift. The shift from being self-focused to being other-focused, from trying to impress to trying to understand, from performing to connecting. This is the shift that transforms relationships. This is the shift that makes you magnetic. Not because you're trying to be, but because you've become the kind of person who makes others feel valued. And here's the beautiful thing. When you practice this, when you make this your way of being in the world, you don't just become more nice to others, you become more satisfied yourself. Because real connection feeds us in a way that being impressive never can. Being admired is hollow. Being seen is nourishing. And when you create space for others to be seen, you create space for yourself to be seen too. So, let's bring this home. The 3 words that make anyone fall in love with you are "tell me more," but they only work if they come from a place of genuine curiosity and care. You have to actually want to know more. You have to be willing to listen. You have to create space for others to unfold without judgment. This is rare. This is valuable. This is what people are starving for in a world of shallow connections and constant distraction. When you offer this, when you show up as someone who genuinely cares about other people's experiences, you become magnetic. Not through force, not through performance, but through presence. The practice is simple but not easy. Notice your habits, ask more questions, listen more than you talk, put away distractions. Be comfortable with silence, and when someone shares something with you, instead of jumping in with your thoughts or your story or your advice, pause, look at them, and ask, "Tell me more." Watch how relationships deepen. Watch how people open up. Watch how connections that were surface level become real. This isn't magic. This is just what happens when someone finally feels truly heard, and you can be that person. You can be the one who creates that space, starting right now, starting with the next conversation you have. If this changed how you think about connection, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.